¿Qué pasa, Anastasia?
Hello.
It's nice to see you, and thank you so much for taking the time to discuss what I think is a not just a fascinating but a very important documentary that we have available on the International Film Series website for anyone who might want to see it. It's a documentary that I actually missed at last year's Telluride Film Festival, which normally would be taking place this Labor Day weekend, but they've shut it down because of concerns with COVID. And it's a documentary that has to do with the Anglo-American coup in Iran in 1953. The director is he's Iranian. His name's Taghi Amirani, and the documentary gets some added help. He's a producer, but he's also an editor on this, and it's one of Hollywood's most famous editors, Walter Murch, who of course worked on Apocalypse Now and The Conversation, and just his credentials are, and he's famous for working standing up, and in a way, I feel like because I'm also at a stand-up desk, and I have been standing up at work long before it became trendy and popular to do. And I'd like to give a nod to Walter Murch, and I agree with him that I think it does help when you're standing up to be, you get a little bit more involved, I think, in the process of whatever it is you're doing. In his case, it's editing. But anyway, this documentary, Coup 53, we'll definitely have it for another week, and I will see if I can maybe hang on to it a little bit longer, but I'm not sure if we will be able to hang on to it for longer. So I did want to make sure that people who might be tuning in to watch us gab about this understand that this is really something that's not to be missed. And I wanted to share just like one quick shot that is, and it might seem sort of pedestrian. This here is a shot of the director, and what's fascinating about that shot is that he is in a room that is full of documents that go into great detail over all it's just like every box is a separate coup attempt made by the CIA in different countries. And it's crazy how many times this has happened. And in a way, the documentary suggests that the coup in Iran in 1953 basically set the template for this kind of, horrific covert action in other countries, which ends up actually blowing up in our faces. It ends up doing a lot more harm than good. And it's doing the opposite of what the US claims that it wants to do, which is that it wants to be a proponent for democracy around the world, when in fact, through these actions of undercutting other governments, we are doing the exact opposite. I've been blabbing for too long. I really would love to get a fresh take from you. So Anna, what did you think?
Absolutely. I think this was definitely an incredibly important documentary to watch. One of the most poignant messages being the fact that this coup did imply that we were against democracy in other countries, as you just mentioned. But there's just an amazing wealth of information that's provided in all these different ways, through documents, through interviews, and the use of archival footage in this I thought was great in the range that it gave, from newsreels to the interview footage and some animation. It just added a lot of different components and ways of telling the story that it's not something I had known anything about beforehand. So seeing the information that was provided about this and how it was traced through all these different events, and each box containing all of these different documents of coups in different countries, and with it was mentioned that they receive new documents every day. So just all of these boxes full of this information was just incredibly, it was shocking, but also unfortunately not in a different way. But very important documentary.
I agree with. I really liked the use of all the different types. I thought the animation worked very well, and it was very artfully done. There one curious the one thing that they did, which I'm still not 100% sure was necessary, was the having Ray Fiennes come in to read the words by the one CIA operative whose confessions had been deleted from the previous records. And I mean, I really like Ray Fiennes, and he does a great job delivering. I mean, he's got a great voice, and he delivers everything with a great tone. But that was actually the one little bit of dramatic trickery it felt a little unnecessary almost, because I think that the words that were written down, which they found by this CIA operative, those words pretty much speak for themselves. And it's really appalling. What's really appalling is the amount of misery that is inflicted on a whole country of people. For what reason? And it kind of, I'm just going to drop in another background shot. Well, it won't surprise too many people. It boils down to oil and money. And it's not just like, some old company from whenever. These are the other oil companies that basically were benefiting from the misery that they inflicted on an entire culture, and the ramifications of which are still relevant today. Mm-hmm. And there was a quote from the Shah that was just really telling, when some guy from Britain was just like, well, you're a dictator and you torture people, and how do you feel about that? And he was just like, who are you to tell me? And you've got 10% of your population own all the wealth and have been getting away with murder forever in your own countries. So we're no different, and and it's a very revealing. There's a lot of very revealing moments that are sort of like that throughout Coup 53, and it's a lot of information, and this is information that is not. It's just not part of the history books for us Americans, and it should be, because we were so directly involved in this whole process. Mm-hmm. Anyway, highly recommended. And I also want to give a quick shout out, if I might, to our friends over at the Bodecker Cinema, and they were kind enough to let me guest program a title, because they've been showing films. They've turned their back parking lot into a drive-in cinema, and Glenn Webb reached out to me and said, would you like to program something, and we'll split the gate, which is kind of like what we do with these independent distributors with titles that you might screen from the International Film Series website. And the first title that came to mind, it was the first title that came to mind when I realized that it couldn't be an R-rated film. There were certain parameters that I had to work within, and at that point, the first title that came into mind was this new sing-along version of Yellow Submarine. So it's restored. It's going to have the bouncy ball, so people can, in their cars, they can sing along. Because boy, we are at a time, and we've always been there, but it's always important to fight the blue meanies, and I feel that the Yellow Submarine kind of helps with that purpose. I think the two shows that are going to be happening September 11th and 12th, those might be very close to selling out already, if not already sold out. If they do sell out, they'll hopefully add a couple more shows. So don't just check out internationalfilmseries.com. Also go check out what Glenn Webb is doing over at the Bodecker. They've got, and they're also doing a Rolling Stones concert documentary, I think, after Yellow Submarine. So if you want to get out of the house safely and spend a fun time in a car with your family, or whoever you've already been, potted with, is that the right word? But they've got some fun stuff on tap. And I do want to, again, thank you, Ana, for coming under the carport to talk about the movies that we have available. And we'll see if I'm back in time for something next week, and we'll take it up from there. In the meantime, what are you thinking about this is the green chili ale from Soulcraft Salida. And as I was just mentioning to Ana, it's a destination I normally like to hit because it's the halfway mark between Boulder and Telluride, and it's always kind of nice. I do feel like you really do taste some of the green chilies, right? It's kind of nice.
Definitely, like just even lifting it up for a drink, you get a nice waft of the smell, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. So,
from southeastern Colorado, where chilies are a big thing this type of year, so it's a nice kind of nostalgic connection.
Excellent. Well, cheers to you, Ana, and have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Ciao.
Ciao.